Welcome to Hard Talk. I'm Stephen Sacker. A year ago, massive pro-democracy demonstrations in Hong Kong seriously rattled the Chinese government. A little later in the summer of 2019, my guest today, Simon Cheng, who was an employee of the UK consulate in Hong Kong, was arrested by the Chinese authorities. He says he was then interrogated and tortured. Now, Mr. Cheng is here in London seeking political asylum. The Chinese government is about to impose new national security laws in Hong Kong. So, will anything stop the Chinese government imposing its will and its system in Hong Kong? Simon Cheng, welcome to Hard Talk.
Nice to meet you, Stephen.
You have been through a truly extraordinary year. 1 year ago, you were living a normal life in Hong Kong. Today, we sit together in London, your status uncertain. What is your current situation here in the UK?
Well, I'm now come to London using the working holiday visa. That is the Tier 5 Youth Mobility Scheme. That is de facto working holiday visa. And now I'm applying the political asylum from the Home Office. I'm waiting for the result, and it's going to have a result by late June.
In essence, you're a political exile, aren't you?
Yeah, you can say that.
I just wonder, now that you look back on everything that's happened, do you feel that the United Kingdom government, which of course was your employer, you were working for the consulate in Hong Kong, do you feel that they failed in a duty of care to you?
Well, I would say that at least that I applied political asylum, I would like to wait and see whether they will grant me the political asylum. If they do, then I think that is quite enough for me. At least I can have a sanctuary for me to live in here and stay here.
A sanctuary?
Yes.
That's what you need, is it?
Yeah.
Because you feel that events a year ago, just under a year ago, when you travelled on a business mission for the UK government to Shenzhen in China, what they ended up with you facing a very real and continued threat, in your view, from the Chinese government.
Yes, exactly. I was on a business trip for my department within the British Consulate General in Hong Kong. And when I back to Shenzhen, and then I finished the trip, and when I back to the Hong Kong West Kowloon station, West Kowloon high-speed railway station, I've been stopped and been delivered back to Shenzhen. I've been experienced the torture and the political interrogation by the secret police, the state security police. Why
do you think the Chinese authorities detained you? And we'll discuss the treatment of you in a second, but why did they detain you?
Well, first, I think it's because that they wanted to collect the information that I was on the front line in protest when I was, in the midst of the anti-extradition bill protest in Hong Kong. And also I work for the British consulate, and I've been instructed to collect the information about the protest. So that's the way they wanted to get the information, and also they wanted to blame me and also to prove, so-called prove, that the UK instigates the protest.
But I'm already a little puzzled, and I'm thinking, if I were in the position of a Chinese official looking at you, I would be somewhat concerned about your role, because your official title was involved in trade and business missions from the UK consulate in Hong Kong. But in fact, you just told me you were instructed by your diplomatic masters to observe and report upon the democracy demonstrations, which of course were very large last summer in Hong Kong. So were you some sort of a undercover spy?
Not exactly undercover spy. I mean, I was on the front line. I mean, when I was being...
But you were on the front line to report back to your masters in Britain.
I was on the front line because that I personally support the pro-democracy movement, and I only joined the legal rally. But meanwhile, I was instructed by the consulate that I need to collect information that amounts those news channels.
Right, but just to be clear, because of this notion that you were in some way spying, you did not declare who you were to either your pro-democracy colleagues on the front line or to any police or authorities that might have tried to intervene. You were there ostensibly as a private Hong Kong citizen, but in fact you were there working for the British government. Isn't that a slightly odd conflict of interest?
Indeed, that is slightly odd, but it also because
you were a spy, Mr. Cheng.